Hey guys, Barry Melody here, back for another episode of the Comeback Game podcast, How to Become Inspired and Unstoppable. Today I've got Peng Joon on the line. Peng, how you doing, mate?
I am good. Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. And you're currently calling in from Boise, Idaho, in the States, yeah?
That's right.
But you live in Malaysia, yeah?
Yes, I'm going to be here in 5 weeks. Well, even though I'm from Malaysia, pretty much I've been living out of my suitcase in the last couple of years doing live events. And that's the thing that's keeping me busy because I realized that doing what I'm doing now has got a limited shelf life. So I
Right.
want to be able to do this while I still have, the capacity to do it.
Yeah. And so, Peng, you're the world's leading authority when it comes to wealth creation online, but it wasn't always like that. Like a few years ago, or many years ago, you're in about $42,000 worth of university debt, yeah?
Yeah, that's how it all began.
Yeah. And so how did you go from, 40 grand in debt to having a social following of a few million, obviously speaking on stages all around the world, making considerable income now and changing a lot of lives? Like there's a significant gap between debt, college, university, and where you are now.
I think one thing that many people will be able to relate to is that, like many people, I started off with that college debt. I actually was on scholarship that was paid for by the Malaysian government, but unfortunately, because of a lot of parties and alcohol and good times in university, I actually nearly failed university, and because of that, I needed to pay back every single dollar back to the government of Malaysia, which was actually $52,000. And it was because of that it led me to kind of question, like, is this all there is to life, and to want more. And that's what led me to the online world, where it all started with going on Google and typing in how to make money online. So from there I was inspired by this other person who apparently did over $1 million selling ebooks in the World of Warcraft market. And I
Right.
thought to myself, like, wow, I play World of Warcraft, and I played like World of Warcraft for like over 1,000 hours easily, while all my housemates were all getting high in college. And yeah, so that's how it all started out, by creating this simple digital product in World of Warcraft. And because of that, I scaled it up into other different niche markets. And yeah, that's kind of like how it all started out.
Yeah. But it wasn't like instant success, was it? It wasn't like you went, hey, it's time for me to put together this ebook, chuck it online for $7, and bang, I've made $1 million. It took some time, right?
It actually took 9 months to make my first sale. That was $7. Um, and I remember when I made my first sale, it was like 6:30 in the morning. I was getting ready to go to work, and I was still living with my parents. And when that I saw that email, it was from PayPal, and it said notification of payment received. And I was so excited. I woke up, went over to my mom's room, and I said, "Mom, wake up! You gotta take a look at this. I just made my first sale online." And she was like really groggy. She's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Mom, I just made my first sale online." And she took a closer look. And it's like, "It says you made $7." And he's like, "Yeah, that's my first sale." And she said, "It took you 9 months to make $7. I'm gonna go back to sleep." So even though it was not a life-changing amount, it was a life-changing moment, because I knew that if I could make that happen once, all I need to do then is to do it again and again and again and again. And that's what I did.
Yeah. I love even what you just shared there, like within your mindset, because a lot of people, I feel they get stuck, or we get stuck on, we get a little bit of success, but the success that we get and where we want to go, there's such a big gap. And we get disheartened that the gap is so big, rather than seeing that success leaves clues. And as you said, like, if I've made it once, I can do it again. And you did, right? I think that in less than 8 months, you generated 1.3 million, wasn't it, through ebook sales online?
Yeah. So like in this was in 2009. So 2009, that was when the boom of Facebook games happened. So
Yeah.
so at that time, I was selling all these different gaming products in World of Warcraft, and what I did was I created this product, this guide on this computer game called Farmville, and I called it Farmville Secrets. And Farmville Secrets did over 1.3 million under 8 months. That was my first big break in the online world, um, marketing that guide. But here's the thing. Is that even back then, what many people didn't know is that even though I was starting to get good at marketing, it wasn't backed up with like personal development and confidence. Like all I wanted to do was be this anonymous person behind the screen and make money online. So I never even believed that a person would buy a product under my name, Peng Joon. I thought, like, why would somebody who live overseas, like, if they can't even pronounce my name, chances are they won't even buy from me. So for many, many years, I actually hid behind this pen name, Tony Sanders, that I, was basically
What was the name?
Tony Sanders. So it's basically Tony Robbins and Colonel Sanders. I kind of merged them together, and I I hid behind that pen name. So I had products in gaming, in dating, in forex, and they were all marketed under Tony Sanders. And this was the big turning point. The big turning point that many people didn't know is that I built this huge email list of up to about 800,000 people. And uh, one day I received this email from my autoresponder company, Aweber, and they told me that they were shutting me down because of like high complaint rates. And to my horror, I realized that the night before, I actually sent an email out to my gaming list for my dating offer because I mixed it up because they were all under Tony Sanders, right? So because of that spam complaint, and you would think they would do well, right? Like, you know, these gamer geek nerds receiving an offer on dating, it would probably help them. But anyway, apparently didn't. We got like crazy amount of spam complaints, and that's when they shut me down. And I realized that I had to start all over again. And yeah, that's pretty much what happened. And yeah, that was when I realized, like, now that I have this opportunity to start all over again, what should I do? And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, what if I took what I did in that entire gaming space and I kind of documented it and I showed people how anybody can actually monetize what they know, their passion, their life experience through products, through live events, through workshops. And that's what I did. That's when I came out of my shell and I started doing what I'm doing today.
Wow. So the shift was initially you kind of was it went from wanting to pay back some university debt, utilizing what you knew at the point in time, which was the 1,000+ hours you'd spent playing World of Warcraft. Putting that out, getting your first sale, blowing that up, and then realizing that you could, that same belief and that mindset around, well, if I've done it once, I could do it again. And that didn't just stay in the niche of World of Warcraft. You went into dating as
Yeah.
well. Was there expertise that you had in dating at that point in time?
So basically what
Forex?
happened was I got really good at the one thing I got really good at is creating an offer and getting an army of affiliates to promote it. So what I did was I started going into all these different marketplaces where it's really competitive, but I knew how to create a great offer in terms of, like, I knew what affiliates wanted, um, the payouts, the funnel. So I started replicating what I did into all these other niche markets. And the company I did it with, which is ClickBank. A funny thing is, actually today I just visited the ClickBank office. I haven't launched new product with them for like in the last 6 years. Um, but yeah, that's what I became good at, creating offers and getting affiliates to promote. So I just replicated the same strategy across different niche markets.
Yeah, it's such an interesting thing. I see a lot, and you probably would as well. I see a lot of entrepreneurs that they try to do 10 things at once, and they end up doing 10 things to a 10% capacity, rather than
Yeah.
focusing on one niche, one offer, getting it right, and then exactly like you've done, copy and pasting that across multiple areas. Because once you've done it and got success, it's like success leaves clues. But you didn't just stop there. Obviously, you had the adversity where Aweber shut you down, lost 800,000 leads, prospects through your list.
Yeah.
And, that didn't stop you there. You went, well, hang on, let's do it again. But now, how's it going to be different? And do you think, though, during that time, though, you said you only wanted to be the person behind the computer. Do you believe, looking back now, it was to do with a level of self-belief? Because you mentioned before you hadn't done much personal development stuff. Do you believe that the biggest transition was that over that point in time, you developed, even though you were advertised as an alias, Tony
Yeah.
Sanders, you developed a
Yeah.
level of belief about yourself in such a way that you felt you come out from behind the curtains, so to speak?
Yeah, I think that the one thing that has helped me a lot in life is the belief that I'll figure it out, like no matter what it is. So whether it's a simple thing as running a Facebook ad or understanding a certain marketing strategy, whether it's sales, whether it's speaking. But yeah, one thing that's helped me tremendously is that even though I wouldn't know something at first, I always believe that I'll figure it out, right? Like, and I think that this belief has so much truth in it. Like, if we were to take a look at our lives today, just kind of think about like how things that were unknown or really scary for us at one point in time. Like looking back, I mean, just think about how all of the biggest problems that we've had in life, and no matter how painful it is, and no matter how much we never want to go through it again, one day, whether it's a couple of months, whether it's years, maybe it's a decade, we'll be able to look back at that incident and say that that incident either made us a better person, a wiser person, a stronger person. Maybe it allowed us to appreciate life more. But whatever it is, whatever that incident may be, there will always be something that we can get out of it if we allow ourselves to. So like that belief has really helped me but the only problem with that is when we are living in that moment, when we're faced with a challenge, the struggle, that obstacle, we always feel like, why does this have to happen?
Yeah.
Right? But again, if we were to look back in retrospect to all of different events in our life, no matter how stressful or painful it was, we'll be able to see that, hey, that wasn't really that bad after all.
Yeah.
Right? Or there might be always something that we can learn from if we allow ourselves to.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a guest on the other week, Joe Pane, and he's got a good saying. He's like, the only thing left from the past is growth, if we choose to see it that way. And it's interesting. I'm not sure if you watched episode 0, but this is exactly what the comeback game stands for. Is that you look back, and I believe the greatest moments in our life are the biggest adversities and challenges. Like, we tend not to remember, those days where it's like, oh, this is the best day in the world. We tend not to remember those. Like, I look back and it's like, I know I've said that before, but I don't have a recollection of what was going on in my life to say this is the best I've ever had. But I certainly remember every single significant challenge or adversity that I've been through. And I look back now, and it was one of the greatest gifts that ever happened to me. Yet, as you mentioned before, it's like at that point in time, I wasn't able to see it. Because at that point in time, it was challenging. It was hard. It pushed every single one of my buttons and took every single bit of strength that I had to get through it. But I think life has a way of kind of squeezing us to kind of allow us to transition and grow to the next level.
That's correct.
What would you say then to the people that are like watching this or listening to this today that are maybe going through some significant challenges? Because it's easy for us to sit here and have this conversation, because for us, life's good. Like we both live healthy lives. We got cash, we got good relationships. But what about the people that are maybe really stuck in their shit right now and going through a lot of challenges? Because I know that their filtering system, or the way that they're perceiving life right now, is very different than possibly the way that you or I or other people are, because their perception of what's going on right now is different. Right. What would you say to those people that are battling or that are looking to kind of find a way through their current experiences?
I remember Tony Robbins saying this thing once, which is like, he said, the quality of the questions we ask ourselves will determine the quality of the answer. So that means if we start off with a really shitty question, like, why does this have to happen to me? Yeah. That's when you'll get a horrible answer, right? Like, but however, if we take a look and ask ourselves and start with the question of, like, why is this a great problem? It forces our mind to look for either a solution or to be optimistic about things. So just begin by being aware of the questions we ask ourselves when we are faced during the times of adversity, because the question that we begin with will determine how we look at things. And that will in turn will shape our thoughts. Our thoughts will become, our words will become our action, and ultimately all comes down to the action steps that we take. Yeah.
And that being said, like, what do you think has been one of the biggest keys for the success and for the journey that you've been on to where you are? Because you've achieved some like absolutely phenomenal things, and you're seen as an authority in the industry. What do you think has been the underlying foundation for you to go from where you were to where you are today?
Number one, it would be the belief in yourself. Like,
Mm.
and to win the inner game, because it's not possible to win the outer game if you're not winning inside.
Yeah.
So it all begins with yourself. Like, I think that one thing that many people always think about when it comes to building or creating wealth is the common question is, should I be doing stocks? Should it be real estate? Should it be in online marketing? Should it be crypto? And I think that that's the vehicle, and
Yeah.
that's the second question. Like, if somebody right now is struggling, and if a person is not making a minimum of $100,000 a year, the first thing to begin with is the investment in yourself first, to increase the capacity, your earning capacity. Whether it is understanding sales, whether it's leadership, whether it's personal development. But the best investment that you could make right now, if your earnings is less than $100,000 a year, is to reinvest it back in yourself.
Mm.
And I'm not talking about traditional education. I'm talking about a highly specialized skill that enables you to increase your income capacity. But if you take a look at what most people do, instead, when they make their money and they save that amount, they spend their money on the latest iPhone, right?
Mm.
Consumerism. So just think about, if you're starting out and if you're struggling, double down on yourself first, because that's something, you'll never lose.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was actually having a conversation with someone yesterday. So I'm not sure if you realize it or not, but about 8 years or so ago now, I was bankrupt for $1.3 million. And I ended up signing up to a life coaching diploma course. And it took every spare cent that I could wrangle, borrow, and steal from people to get started. And the moment I started charging for my services, I invested everything that I had back into education. And I did that for about 18 months. I think over 18 months, I invested close to $200,000 back in my education. And people thought I was stupid at the time because I'd gone bankrupt, I'd lost everything, lost my assets. They're like, why aren't you going and investing in assets and wealth generation? But I invested in me, and that's paid dividends and continues to pay dividends moving forwards. Do you believe that this is something that we should be investing in ongoingly, like that inner game aspect?
100%. Look, I'm here in Boise for a mastermind with Russell Brunson, and to be in this mastermind is $50,000 a year. I've been in this mastermind for the last 3 years, and to some people, like spending 50,000 for a mastermind where you get to meet up 2 times a year with other amazing entrepreneurs, some people cannot fathom that, right? It sounds crazy, but to me, here's what I think. I look at one thing that's so crucial for our growth is this thing. It's our it's our level of teachability. I
Mm.
think one of the things that helped me tremendously in getting the success I've had is that I'm an extremely teachable and coachable person. Many people, especially who are broke or with a broke mindset at least, the
Mm.
one thing they're always telling themselves is, "Oh, but I already know this." Okay.
Mm.
Now here's the thing that most people constantly do. They look at something and they judge and they say, "Oh, but I already know this." The only way to tell if you know something is if you're actually living it. It's actually easy to say. I mean, think about it. When it comes to health and fitness, everybody knows health and fitness, right? We know that in order to be healthy and fit, it's to eat right and exercise daily. These two things, that's it. But sure, right? You might understand the concept, you might understand the theory, but the only way to really be qualified to say, I know this, is to ask yourself, do I actually live it? And
Mm.
if you're not living it, it means you don't know. You might understand conceptually,
Mm.
but you don't know. And the problem that many people have is that most people will never even pay to attend a workshop or a seminar or something on personal development because they're constantly telling themselves, oh, but I know this. This speaker is going to tell me to be confident. Oh, I know. Yeah, I know the speaker is going to tell me to be confident, right? But the question is, are you confident? Are you able to go on stage in front of 5,000 people and just speak with no problem, right? Because if you can't do that, that means you don't have the confidence to be
Mm.
able to do that, right? So, and the reason why that resonates with me is because I have friends who think that way. They would say, like, I would never spend $2,000 on a weekend that teaches me personal development or confidence because I know,
Yeah.
and the most common thing that stops people to going to the next level is because of those two words. I know, when
Mm.
in fact, I don't. So
Mm.
notice, and so here's the thing for your audience. I would say, notice your level of teachability. And I think the mindset to have around this is just think about the people that has all mastered their craft. That's really the number one that's become legends. Let's take a look at, say, Michael Jordan, right? Think about when Michael Jordan's coach asks Michael Jordan to make a free throw. Do you think Michael Jordan would say, but I already know how to make a free throw. Why would you ask me to practice on making how to make a free throw, right? How do you think Michael Jordan's mindset and attitude would be around practicing that craft?
Yeah.
Just think about that for a second, right? And this is a legend, right? So obviously he's not gonna. So he's arguably one of the number one in the world, but he's never gonna tell himself, "I know how to make a free throw." He's never gonna tell himself, "But I already know how to dribble. So why should I practice dribbling? Why should I practice passing?" Right? So just think about how every single person that's mastered their craft and their attitude behind learning and growth and practicing. And that's what most ordinary people do not have. The mindset behind it.
Well, the mindset and the discipline, because we're brought up in a world of immediate gratification. People want to go and buy their big 50, 60-inch TV on Afterpay, because they want the experience of having it right now, but they're not willing to do the work now. It's like, what's that saying? It's like, I'll work harder than most people now so I can have the life that most people can't, or something like that. And I think that's the thing that I see a lot is the difference between playing the short-term game versus playing the long-term game. It's like you didn't turn around and say, "Hey, I only made $7. Like I'm short of my $50,000 university debt." Yeah, well, hey, if I made $7, I can make it again and I can make it again. And you played a series of short games over a longer period of time.
That's what it is. Like a huge victory is just accumulation of many small ones, right? Yeah. But the problem is that most people are not able to break it down, to chunk it down into bite-sized pieces, milestones, so that they can celebrate the little victories in between. They have got this huge ambition that they want to do, but it seems so far away. So to make $1 million, just chunk it down into how you can do $1,000 1,000 times, right? That's like, rather than saying, I want to be able to complete this Ironman, think about how can you chunk it down to all these small sites so that eventually it gets you there.
Yeah, what do they say? That people overestimate what they can do in a short period of time and underestimate what they can do in a long period of time. Yeah, I want to circle back again, because I think it's important. And you talk about the inner game and the outer game, and I want to kind of circle back to the transition from Tony Sanders to Peng Joon, right? When you decided, hey, it's time for me to come out and share with other people how to do the same thing. And I want to kind of understand, like, do you believe that because you moved into a space of authenticity, that actually allowed other people to step in and engage with you even more than prior to that? Because this is something that I've been playing around with a lot and have actually developed a change process called the chain reaction, where you help somebody find their biggest inauthenticity or their biggest aspect of their life that's out of integrity, and you realign that. And like within 24 to 48 hours, things outside of them change dramatically. They win jobs that they never even knew were out there to be won. They have relationships walk in the door. They have all sorts of crazy shit happen the moment that we make that change inside. And so I'm curious to understand from you, like, what was the journey like in terms of yourself coming out? And what did you notice show up externally in the outer game as a result of making that shift within?
So like I talked about, the moment you start changing the inner game, that's when, like, most people think it's about the outer game, the strategy, the steps, the techniques. The problem, here's the main problem. The problem is that mindset is not a sexy topic. If I had a program called like Internet Mindset Intensive, nobody's going to show up because most people just want the strategy. Most people say, like, yeah, right? I've got all those things are rah-rah, woo-woo stuff. Just give me the steps. But again, if it was about the steps, then everybody would be fit, healthy, happy, right? Because the steps, it's all over YouTube and Google, right?
But they don't do the steps anyway.
Yeah, right. So exactly. So like the steps to think about this. So steps to fitness and health. Everybody wants to be fit, healthy. Everybody wants to look good and naked. Nobody wants to be sick, right? That's something everybody wants. So the question is, if that is something everybody wants, why is it that like 99% of people are not in their ideal body shape or fitness level? It
Yeah.
is because it's not about the steps. It
Yeah.
is about the inner game. It's probably because you either don't have the belief, the attitude, the mindset behind applying or implementing those steps.
Yeah.
So yes, strategy is important, but the much more, the iceberg, right? The thing that people don't see, that's the inner game. And as soon as I started improving my inner game, the outer game, that's when it becomes easier. That's
Mm.
when you start to realize what the steps are, but not just realizing what the steps are. That's when it comes to implementing the steps,
Yeah.
whether it's health, whether it's fitness, whether it's business, whether it's speaking, right? Most of the time people say, well, Peng Joon, if you only showed me the traffic strategy to getting traffic on social media, then of course I would do it because that's going to, okay, then what I say would be, one of the steps would be to shoot a video of yourself giving value to your audience and uploading it on YouTube. That would be one of the steps. Then, so don't everybody do it? Because what's so people don't do it because maybe because of the insecurities, but I don't want to be on YouTube. What if people start judging me and
Yeah.
criticizing me? What if I get all these hater comments coming in? Oh, but if what if I look stupid on camera, right? So it's not the steps. So
Yes.
somebody can teach you there's different steps in social media, but it doesn't mean that you'll do it because of the inner game.
Yeah.
So when you start working on the inner game, which is like 80%, it's 80% psychology, right? So it's
Mm.
20% mechanics, right? That's when the mechanics becomes a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The other side of that, or the part that plays of that too, is when we talk about our belief systems. It's one thing to keep working on our mindset, and you're exactly right. Like I agree 100% with what you say about the inner game, and the other part too is that the experiences that we've learnt to survive become the experiences that our continued survival depends upon. And so, if we have learnt to survive experiences of poverty, part of our brain is conditioned that poverty is safe for us, even though consciously we know, well, hang on, it's safe for us to have more money. Consciously is not necessarily running our thoughts and our decision-making processes. And like you said, it's like you can pretty much find anything you want on YouTube right now.
That's
But
right.
the reason that I feel people pay for a coach, or the reason that people join our program, is because they want a level of accountability. And they believe that the accountability they want is the accountability of a coach or someone else. But the accountability they actually need is self-discipline and self-accountability, which is a transition that goes from accountability of external to accountability internal. That if your goals, your desires, your wishes, your wants, what you're wanting to achieve is big enough and it's aligned clear enough with a sense of self, you'll go after that. Like for you, you had a 50K debt hanging over your head that you had to pay off. So there's some motivation there in the interim that got you moving.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is like? So we talked about the inner game, right? And that's one thing that kind of holds people back. But do you think that part of it these days is that the marketplace is way too crowded of options of what people should do? Like back when you searched how to make money online, I imagine the search results were far less than what they are now. Do you feel that in some ways, like we're in a marketplace, or we're in an existence where the market is way too crowded with a million ideas, that people even get overwhelmed with the decision they should be making?
Yep. So here's the thing, right? If you type in "make how to make money online," you would get probably 2 billion search results, all telling you different things. Some would say e-commerce, some would say drop shipping, some
Yeah.
would say Amazon, some would say sell a digital product, cryptocurrency, and all these different ways to make money online and work from home. And like I said, it all these different strategies, whether it's stocks, whether it's real estate, this is step number two. Step
Mm.
number one is when you figure out mindset, personal development and beliefs, and your attitude and your environment and all these different things, step number two will come to you.
Yeah.
You'll figure that out,
Yeah.
right? But what everybody's trying to do is go straight to step number two first. So yes, it has become harder, but understand something. It's not about the mechanics, because mechanics, like you said, It's on YouTube. You want to learn how to run Facebook? Every single thing on running Facebook ads is on YouTube. If it's not on YouTube, there's probably a course on it that a person's selling for $50.
Yeah.
But again, it's not about the steps and mechanics. Yes, that plays a small role, but work on the inner game first.
Well, step number two is what people are commercially pushing as being that magic pill, and people are still buying into it. And I think that the challenge that we have is that we're standing in our own way. People are standing in their own way, and they're not even aware that they're standing in their own way. All they're seeing is that they're in a situation that's less than desirable, or they're in a relationship, or their finances are not where they want to be, and they're advertised the next potential get-rich-quick scheme that's marketed very well, that has amazing copywriting, that speaks to that part of the brain that is in some form of pain and moving towards pleasure, and they want to buy that. And you know, I remember years ago when we started to launch ads and funnels online, we tried to do like a mindset campaign, and it was the worst converting campaign we ever did.
Yep.
And it was always so frustrating for me because I've known for years that is the number one thing. Like we've had clients paying one lady in particular. She came on board. She had a month before she was going bankrupt. She's doing $4,000 a month. She needed $8,000 a month just to break even. For the first 6 months, out of the first 6 months, for 5 months only, we only worked on her mind. Like we only went through change work processes. We cleaned up a bunch of stuff that was hanging around the system from the past. We didn't even touch her business. In the 6 months, she was doing $52,000 a month. In the first month, she went from 4K to 16K. We didn't touch marketing. We didn't touch sales. We changed nothing in the business. We just worked on a mindset. Because as you said, it's like once that aspect is being shifted and transformed, it's easier for us to understand the decisions outside. It's easier for us to understand what that next step is. Like looking back into your life, like what do you think was like 3 key bits of advice or 3 key moments in time that really shifted things for you?
One was definitely having my autoresponder shut down on me, because that made me decide to go on a different direction altogether. Another one would be definitely growing up, seeing how my parents, my dad especially, is probably one of the most hardworking people in the world that I know of. So for 13 years, my dad, he worked on 2 jobs. He had a 9 to 5 with the government of Malaysia. And at the same time, he would work on a farm. So my father was a farmer. He worked on 2 jobs for 13 years of his life. And on weekends, he would have no weekends. He would be working on a farm as well. And he sacrificed, like a decade just working on 2 jobs. So like it was because of that, it gave me this ambition, this burning desire to be successful, because I didn't want to see my dad like remain a farmer for the rest of his life. So one thing that has really shaped me to who I am, to have the hunger that I have, is definitely my parents, how hard they worked, and I wanted to give them the good life. So I always told myself like I wanted to be successful. I didn't know how or what to do, but that has definitely something that has shaped me as well. One incident that I always remember is that also gave me that hunger, is because money was like tight. There was this one time I was at the bookstore and I wanted to buy this magazine. And this magazine was like on gadgets, fancy gadgets and stuff like that. But basically, I think it was like, well, converted in US dollars, it's like $3 probably, $3 to $5. And I wanted to buy it using my own pocket money. But as I was gonna go to the counter to check out, my mom, she override that decision, and she said, "This is a waste of money, and you're not allowed to buy that." And I was like, "Mom, but why not? I'm using my own pocket money." And she looked at me and she said, "And that money came from us. And then until you start earning your own money, whatever it is that you spend, you still need approval from us first." And I don't know why, but well, I was a kid at that time, and looking back, it's such a small thing, but it's like just that moment, it gave me this desire, like I want to be able to afford stuff without looking at the price. Like a huge thing growing up is that when we went to restaurants, it's kind of like the rule in the family that when we order in a restaurant, we can order our drinks needs to be water, and then like the food we can order like pretty much anything. but it would be like not worth it if we ordered the drinks from the restaurant. So we normally have water instead. And and as a kid, like it was just another one of those things. It's like, and I realized all these little events just kind of shaped my belief towards money. It's like, I don't want that to be a problem, you know? And I want to be able to go to restaurants and just order whatever I want. And when a bill comes, I'm just going to sign it without looking at it. And Shuying's actually here with me, and she will tell you, like, and she just, kind of smiling to herself over here, because that's really a practice I have. It's like when like one of the things that we have right now is like the rules, like we just gonna order everything we want, and when a bill comes, I'm just gonna sign off. I mean, just by just looking at the total amount, So like, I don't know. It's just like you asked me what are different things that shape me. All those things just played a huge role in developing and shaping my beliefs towards money, which is like, I don't want my family, my parents to be limited and having a life that they used to have because of money. And that's because of that, I wanted more in life. It gave me the desire and the hunger to want more and to have more.
What I really love most about what you've shared, mate, is that, these experiences, you've used them to formulate and create the life that you have now. You've used them, as you said, like each small thing onto another, to where, the life that you have now, you probably never dreamed was possible, 10, 20 years ago. But equally too, you've shown up consistently, you've done the work on yourself, you've mastered the inner game, and you've then taken that out to the outer game. How do you now how do you now look for those different opportunities? Because one thing that I love about you is that how you're able to kind of keep on top of innovating and market opportunities. Like, you've gone from selling World of Warcraft books to now doing, the content strategy and selling that product. You're doing stuff around selling from stage. Like, how do you keep up with trends? Is it looking at what you've been through within yourself and kind of sharing that back through as you kind of did initially, or is it some other way that you find these new opportunities?
So right now, I think the one thing that I've learned from in my last decade of coming up with new ideas is this. I think as entrepreneurs, we always have this shiny object syndrome, which is like we see something and it becomes like the best thing ever and something we want to do. And I know that one thing that's cost me most in my business is when I lose focus. And when people say like, when I hear people's conversation and they say like, oh, I'm a serial entrepreneur, I have like 13 different businesses and doing all these different things. I know firsthand that chances are, in most cases, they're not doing very well. Okay, because that's what and I just know so many people in that, because one of the things that I used to think about was like, if I wanted to increase my income levels, I just needed to have more businesses. But I realized that whenever I start a new business, then my focus shifts with the new business, and my existing business, because it lacks my attention, it falls a little bit. And it kind of adds up to the same thing anyway. And one thing I realized is to really focus on one main thing. So really ask yourself, like, what is that main thing? And then after that, you can create the umbrella of different products around that one main thing. So like for me personally, I realized that my main thing is by teaching entrepreneurs what are the different skills that pays the bills. So this could be Facebook, this could be social media, this could be speaking, this could be presenting through a webinar on a live event, running your own live event. So all these are just different skill sets that I believe I've mastered. And that is what's prompted me to create all these different products. It's just basically around what is that ambition that people have, what is it that we're good at, and how can we help people from where they are to where they want to be.
I love that. What are the skills that help you pay the bills? That's
Yep.
awesome. Mate, before we wrap things up, what sort of rituals do you have, or what sort of things do you go through to prep yourself for a day? Like, do you have rituals that you go through?
Yeah. So one thing that, first of all, let me just kind of talk about what I don't do. So most productivity gurus talk about how you need to wake up at like 5 a.m. and crush your competition because you are getting the extra hours. So I don't believe in all of that. Okay, I have no fixed time. Most days I do not sleep with the alarm clock, but the rituals that I do go with is, um, number one, I make sure that I train at the gym at least 6 times a week. I make sure that one thing that's helped me tremendously is being clear and setting an intention of
Mm.
what I'm about to do. So this is something that has helped me tremendously. I believe they call it I think it's the Pomodoro method. It's a
Yeah.
productivity exercise. Are you aware of how that works?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So basically, it's just like I do this exercise, which is like, so before I start, a session, I it's 42 minutes, pure focus, no social media, no Facebook, no YouTube, no distractions. And before I start 42 minutes, it's straight up what am I objective and what it is that I intended to achieve in the 42 minutes. And then after that, I take 18 minutes off. And that's when I can like do stuff like checking my email, and getting distracted. Okay. So we need like pure focus and then 18 minutes of just doing whatever. Okay. That's when you can take on a call. That's when you can just do different things. But 42 minutes of pure focus and setting an intention and getting that done in 42 minutes. That is something that has helped me tremendously.
Yeah. So first and foremost is obviously making sure you train, keep your body and your being in alignment. And then the second thing, which links back to what you shared before too, just about your discipline and focus, is making sure that anything you're investing your time in is a clear outcome for that investment of time.
Huge payoff. Like when I first learned that, like I just thought, I'd just give it a try, but I did not know something as simple as that really makes all of the difference. Like there's so many people right now talking about, oh, I want to be hustling and grinding. And if you are not working on, Christmas Eve, then you are a loser. Like all these things on social media. Look, like I don't want to outwork you. I'm not the hardest worker in the room. Like, why would I want to be the hardest worker in the room? Right? People are taking pictures of how they work, like, and they're proud. They're proud that they work 16 hours a day. And to me, that's crazy. That's not a life. I don't want to name names, but you guys probably know. Anyway. So yeah, I'm definitely not the hardest worker in the room. I'm not gonna outwork you. I'm not gonna outgrind you. I'm not gonna out hustle you. And that's not what it takes. It's really about productivity. It's just amount of and focus and setting an intention and getting stuff done.
Yeah. Mate, I love that. And we share very similar beliefs. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any point working and hustling 80, 90, 100 hours a week if you're not around very long to enjoy it because you work yourself into early grave. Or if by the time you get to a position where you can sit back and enjoy it, your wife's left you, your kids don't know who you are anymore. You don't even remember that you have kids. So I think that it's more around, being productive, being clear and concise on what you actually want to create and what's the purpose of your business as well. Like, what is the outcome you're looking to achieve in your business? So what are you guys up to now?
Like now, or like
Yeah, in
in
business.
general.
So what's the direction that you guys are going in currently?
I just started a new supplement company. And it's basically around it's well just focused on one thing, which is green powder.
Yeah,
One thing that I realized that's really lacking in Asia is most people are just not even aware of the impact of eating right and having a healthy lifestyle
yeah,
has. So in line with what it is that I do, I'm launching well, it's not really, well, it's just one product. It's
yeah,
green powder, 9 different type of greens with probiotics and just really superfoods all in one. It's chances are for people that's not used to taste, it's going to taste horrible. But we do have all of the best ingredients in there, without the sugar, without all of the things without all the weird stuff in there.
yeah. Mate, I love that. Absolutely love that. And any last advice for the people that have tuned into the end, watching and listening to this today?
Well, since this is called like the comeback podcast, here's the thing: like anything in life, whether it is failures or successes, it's all temporary, right? It's just how we choose to look at it in the moment.
Mm.
Like you take a look at everything that we have going on right now, no matter how bad it is, I'm very sure that you, the listener, you have a lot of things to be grateful for. And if we just choose to pause and just appreciate that the things that we have working out for us right now, whether it's just from the simplest things, the fact that we're living in a place that provides us clean water, that we are not at war, that we are able-bodied, that we have loved ones that's still alive, just think about this. No matter how crap you think your life is right now, there is somebody out there in the world that's willing to sacrifice their life so that their family can have what you have right now. So rather than saying my life is crap right now, just try to be grateful for it because there's somebody who wants that life.
Awesome. Love that. Beautiful. So how can people find you? What's the best way they can connect in with you?
Follow me, Peng Joon, pengjoon.com, Peng Joon on Facebook, Peng Joon on Instagram if you want to see behind the scenes to what I do. But yeah, that's how you can follow me.
Awesome. Peng Joon, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate, for this episode of the Comeback Game podcast. For you guys out there tuning in, would absolutely love if you want to share this around, jump onto iTunes, 5-star review, and we've now also listed on Spotify as well. So keep up to date. Peng, it's been amazing, and I'd love to get you back soon.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, mate.